everybody. Wasn't that wonderful to hear the singing? So beautiful, and it just really raises the vibration. So good morning and good evening to my Western friends, and welcome once again to A Course in Miracles. Miracles abound. Yeah, it's just wild. You know, it's been a crazy week for me personally, and the last 2 weeks the Spirit is really moving me. I'm listening to a voice that is giving guidance, and it's through prayer that I listen and I follow. And this is what I'm sharing with you this morning. To pray, we need prayer more than anything else. To pray, to listen to what you're hearing, and to follow. And this is where we have to transfer our faith or our trust in fear. We have been trusting in the ego. We have to transfer that trust to love, which is spirit. And this is difficult because the mind has been programmed and with memory implants for lifetimes. And that's why your true self is an alien here. See that alien back there? Look, yeah, it's an alien. We are alien here because our true self, who has never left God, is just a beautiful shining light. And it's in our right mind in God at all times. We can't hear it enough. But we have become convinced that this world is real, that this body is who I am. And when I think that, when I believe that, now I'm an alien. Now I'm an alien. And I am being coerced, and I am being shoved around and bossed around willingly because I choose to be a body, to identify as a body. And now I have puppet masters pulling my strings. So today we're going to anchor the light of sovereignty. That's a big one. The light of sovereignty. And we can't do that without praying first. So how about that? Let's just get ready and close our eyes for a few minutes in prayer as we anchor the light of sovereignty. And before closing your eyes, if I already told you that, I can't remember. But if I did, open them and look at that screen. Now Jamie is brilliant, and she put there an alien and the matrix. And that's you in the matrix when you have not anchored the light of sovereignty, because you believe you don't have a choice. And when you believe that you don't have a choice, you are giving all your power to the puppet masters. And so as you can see on the screen, it's dark. Every bubble, every one of those lights and that line that's going up and down, these are implants of programming that have been put into your unconscious. And this unconscious mind projects itself into the world as an ego, an alien. And your real self, which is sovereign of God, the will of God in action, is alien here, because this is not your home. This matrix that you find yourself in, identified as a body, is not your home. And it's really frightening when we believe that this is our home. So this memory in your unconscious mind is an alien implant. And these are implanted memories coming from that timeline. And that blip in the middle that goes high is where you really believe, and you now become identified as a body. And so here we are, not believing that we are sovereign of God. We are like a bunch of aliens running along this timeline, believing that we are each a private mind with a private body and a private agenda, with all these memory implants in the unconscious. And with that going on, we are enforced into slavery by the puppet masters. And in fact, what happens is that we have gone from heroes to zeros, believing we have no choice. And so we have an unconscious mind. We could call it secret societies, and we could call it Mr. Global, but it's all the thoughts in our alien minds projecting fear. And then this fear collectively shows up as idols and symbols and images on the screen of your matrix. Look at it. It doesn't stop. It is a thought system that is based on absolute fear. And every ego alien memory is programmed in you. And that's part of your unconscious mind. It's down in the root. The mind you think in secret. You don't even know what you think. You don't even know what your memories are. You don't even know. And your life becomes reactive. You're emotionally a basket case reacting instead of standing sovereign of God as divine will. God said, you are created in my image. But as long as you believe you are an alien figure in this dream world, then you don't understand this one simple idea that the Master, Jesus, gave us. And he repeats it throughout this marvelous teaching. He says, ideas leave not their source. And whether it's the idea that you are separate of God, you will see an external world that matches the thoughts in your mind, and that is your matrix. And now you are an alien running along that timeline in total fear. So the only thing for us to wrap our head around is the one idea that the world is not outside of you. It's in your mind. You are your higher self, your Christ self is an alien here. And when you lose contact, conscious contact with your Christ mind, now you're an alien and you're frightened. And you will follow the puppet masters because you will believe that you have no choice, as I said. And the master is constantly working to bring you back to the part of your mind that can choose sovereignty, or to live out the memory implants in your unconscious. And so with that, after staring at that screen and imagining that that's you right in the middle of your matrix on that timeline, running back and forth into the future and past, all your thoughts, oh my God, what am I going to do? Where am I going? What's this all about? Geez, help me, oh my God. And that one blip where the tiny mad idea took hold of you, and there you were, there you are, the alien you, believing. And you know, it's really uncomfortable when you're an alien. It's uncomfortable. Just feel that, feel into that. I'm uncomfortable in this world, aren't you? Because this world seems to be happening to you. like you have no choice. But you do have a choice, and that is to change your mind about who you believe you are, who you think you are, who you say you are, who you show up as. And that's really frightening because it feels uncomfortable not to know anything on this timeline. I don't know what my future's about. But you have to trust because you are sovereign of God. You have to trust because you of yourself, the alien, you have no idea what your future holds. So you have to trust and be still. And that's where we're going. So I invite you now to close your eyes. God is within me. I live and breathe in Him. Let all your thoughts be still. Quiet the mind. Father, we come to you today to seek serenity and peace that only you can give. We come to you today in complete silence and in the quiet of our open heart, receiving all that you are, that we might give all that you are. In this deep prayer, Father, we are patient. We wait to hear your voice. Heavenly Father, I am open and I'm asking you to speak to me today. We come here quietly in humility to hear your sweet voice of truth in this beautiful silence. And in your gentle love, with certainty of mind that only you know what's best for me. Today, Father, increase in me the voice of my conscience. I know that you hear my call because I am calling to you in these desperate times. And I'm asking you to answer me. And so I wait in patience. We, as a family of light, anchoring the light of sovereignty, we wait together in patience, sure that our Spirit, our Father, will speak to us individually with the perfect message that we need to hear. And so I let my thoughts be quiet. I still my mind, my thoughts. And I anchor the light. I see myself as a vertical pillar of light with my I am presence in me because I know it is not separate from me. And I allow this light to cover my body now, like a coat of pure luminous light that I wear throughout this day, reminding myself that I live and I move and I breathe in this light. That is my truth. And I know that as I breathe in this light, I see it around me, in me. It's in my mind, it's in my soul. I am not interested in protecting this body. I am interested in my sovereignty as a divine soul. And I know with that in my mind that I live and I move and I have my being in him, this light, this beauteous light. And because I am an idea in the mind of God as this light that I now see in my mind's eye, I can have no reaction to anything because I am not of this world. And I come to know in this consciousness of pure love light that there is not one part of God ever attacking another part of himself. It is pure agape love. I know that our Creator created everything for our joy, and that there is no attack in God. So together, we remind ourselves today in our sovereignty that we live in God. We remind ourselves in our sovereignty that we move in God in this light. And we remind ourselves in this sovereignty that we breathe and we have our being in this love light in God. We are guiltless, we are innocent, and we are waking up to truth. We are totally free in this light. We are invulnerable in this light. We are invulnerable from attack of any kind because I am love, and love doesn't know attack. My entire existence is always in this light, in this love, in God. In this moment, I know that God is with me. And I know that He is my source. God is my sustenance. God is the life within me, around me, above me, and below me. God is the very air I breathe. God is the food by which I am sustained. He is the water that I drink. God renews my mind and cleanses me of all alien implants that I have programmed in my mind, in my consciousness. I am at home in God right now. And the Spirit in my right mind will direct me. The Spirit in my right mind will implant thoughts that are of the light, thoughts of promise and hope, thoughts of goodness and healing, thoughts that will guarantee my safety from all suffering and all pain. Thank you, Father. You cover me, you blanket me with your kindness, you blanket me with your grace. I am your beloved Son, and I am anchoring the light of sovereignty. I am your loving will, and I will use my body today as a beautiful communication device within the sonship, whom I know your light shines on them too, regardless of what I might think. Father, I have no words except I am that I am upon my heart today. I have come into your presence, emptied of self, to take rest and to be with you in peace a little while. Feel into that. This is what's true, because only the truth is true and nothing else. This is your sovereignty. This is your power. Amen. And so it is together. When you feel ready, go ahead and open your eyes. Well, we had a few lights blow out. But we are the light of the world. We'll just light it up with the God light that surrounds us, right? So, wow, what a crazy week. Yeah, lots of things coming in, guys. Lots of things. And you know, one of the things this morning, and again, you know, here's the master, you know, I'm making tea. Thank you, Susan. Love the tea. And by the way, Susan, I sent you reply to both your emails, and they keep bouncing back. This one and the one before that. So I don't know what's going on, but my emails were filled with thank you, gratitude. This tea is delicious. And it's a fond memory of David's, what is it, David's tea? David's tea. Mint. It's wonderful for the throat. So, thank you. Anyway, so there I was making tea this morning for Jamie and I to get ready for our singing. And, well, you know, Master Jesus, he comes in the kitchen and he says, well, I think you need to talk about the 4 F's. And I said, huh? What? 4 F's. Okay. He said, you know, Sai Baba. Remember Sai Baba? He's my brother. We're one. Oh, yes, the 4 F's. Okay. He said, go get that. Well, there I was, you know, I didn't get my drum. I ran up the stairs and, you know, got my computer, and I go to my Sai Baba files, and of course there it was. And I thought, well, there, Jesus, you're just amazing as always. And that's the spirit in our right mind in God, with this wonderful news coming to us from our higher self in the form of Sri Sathya Sai Baba's teachings. Yeah. Hi, Michael. I love you so much too. I really love you. Yeah.
I love you too, Michael.
Okay, so here's what Baba says. He says, your duty is to follow the 4 F's. Well, I know in these times, you know, we could think of another word for that F, because it's not looking good out there. And so people are getting pretty fed up. There's a word, fed up, right? So he said, your duty is to follow the 4 F's. And he said, and then you will win the love of God. In other words, you will feel the oneness with your true self. So he says, and you know, we don't hear this word much, but he says, your conscience. Have you heard that word lately? You know, I remember in a Bible study, you know, I've told you I went to Bible school, the Mormon church. It was fun. And they always talked about your conscience, right? Well, we don't hear that often, but Baba says your conscience. It is your conscience, your duty. Your conscience is your master. What does your conscience say about what's going on out there? About the government, about everything. And, you know, the Master Jesus tells us all throughout the Course, he said, listen, you've got to question every belief you hold. Every single one of them, good ones and not good ones. You have to question every belief. And pay attention to your conscience. He says, Baba, follow your conscience. Follow your conscience. What does your conscience say? There can be nothing more sacred than following the 4 injunctions. And he says the 4 F's are essential to achieving the goals of human life. If you want to be the happy dreamer in the dream, you see, we have to do the work to be the happy dreamer in the dream. It's still a dream, but right now, when you're identified as the body and you're caught up, well, it's a nightmare. So we want to be the happy dreamer in the dream. So Baba says your conscience is your guide, and it should dictate your behavior. So some people's conscience are telling them to protest. Is it wrong? If you're spiritual, is it wrong to protest? Not if your conscience tells you. Is it wrong to stand in your sovereignty? Never. We have become aliens to our sovereignty, to our conscience, and we're following the puppet masters that live in secret societies in your own root chakra. This world, ideas don't leave their source, remember? So what we're seeing out there is a reflection of our own shadow, big time, and we call it secret societies, and we want to blame it there. My goodness, Baba says, no, follow your conscience and don't care about out here. What does your conscience say? He says, it should dictate your behavior, whatever that is. Sometimes, when Arjuna was on the battlefield, Krishna said, you got to fight. You got to fight. What are you fighting for? Truth. You're fighting for truth. Or are you going to lay down? Are you going to lay down and just be that alien running around, scared on that timeline? Past and future, waiting for someone to tell you what to do, where to go, what to say. Are you waiting for someone to tell you what to do, where to go, and what to say? If you are, you're not sovereign. And you're not listening to the deepest conscience that's in you. And that requires courage, and it requires working with your higher power. You cannot do this, guys, without prayer. You cannot. This is it. This is God's time. And Baba's letting us know, this conscience of yours, which comes from God, you need to listen to it and let it dictate your behavior, not the puppet master. That's the memory implants from you living lifetimes on a timeline of fear. He says, it is your conscience that is responsible. The guilt in you causes the bad. Of course. The guilt in you comes from identifying as a body. The minute you protect this and you put a defense, I got to defend my position, what you're saying is, I can be attacked. I can be hurt. I can be, I got to defend. So identified with the unreal. And remember, in the beginning of this book, Jesus says, only love is real. The unreal, which is fear, alien world, doesn't exist. Ideas leave not their source. As you think, you will see. So you can't, do anything here. But if you change your mind, then wow. The guilt in you causes the bad. The strength and confidence in you, therefore, do such things that will promote your confidence in your own self. Have you ever stood up for yourself? Have you ever stood up for your rights, for truth? And you feel even taller, like Akhenaten. When I saw Akhenaten in the Egyptian museum, my goodness, I think he's like 10, 11 feet tall. Whoa, he's just a stream of love light, pure, raw power of God. And when you stand in that truth, you gain confidence. When you say no to the puppet master who's been ruling your life because you've been implanted, like chips implanted in the unconscious mind with fear coming from your mom, your dad, your whoever, the government, your grandma, the teachers, the priests, the whatever, for lifetimes, they're all implants. The program in your matrix. And it's in your unconscious that you project out, and now you see images that scare you. What if we all stood together in our sovereignty? We would shine away the darkness. But what are you going to do? Lay down on the couch? Just watch Netflix and not care about your sovereignty? These are questions. Be willing to question everything you think, and everything you think you believe. Everything. And it is 180 degrees away from your sovereignty, your truth. Baba says, that is why I have told you on some occasions that you should follow the 4 F's. Follow the master. Follow the master. Not some guru on the street corner. No, the days of gurus are over. You are your own guru. You are the guru that you've been waiting for. That's been the old, I heard that in my hippie days. That in the new age, you're it. It is about being your I am presence so that you can experience a joyous life. Right now, not looking good. And are you willing to save your soul over your BMW or your condo or are you willing to be uncomfortable and be a little bit inconvenienced? Because it's more important to serve the light and to stand in truth. These are the deeper questions that we've got to ask ourselves. Oh yeah. Follow the master. And that is your conscience. It will tell you what to go. And Jesus is powerful. That I am presence is powerful. It doesn't mean like if you're guided by conscience that you're not going to do anything. You're just going to sit on your lotus pillow in meditation and be all holy and not think about anything else. No, when you're following your conscience, your heart will be broken wide open for the entire sonship. Because that is the return of the Holy Spirit. Look, I'm covered in Holy Spirits. Mm-hmm. Nice fabric, isn't it? Yeah. The Holy Spirit in your right mind and God will direct you. And maybe you're the one who's supposed to go and hold up the sign. I don't know. But follow the master. Follow the master. Fight. That's the next one. Sai Baba says, the second is face the devil. Who's the devil? Wetiko. The ego. From that one tiny mad idea that you had in your mind, that you seemingly had in your mind, I wonder what it would be like not to be in the mind of God. Well, then you projected a whole matrix. You projected a whole world. The devil, there it is. And now we made it real. And now it's taking over. It's taking over, seemingly. Wow. Face the devil. You have to look at the darkness. You have to see what's being done. It is a projection of what you want to be true. That's where the responsibility comes in. And the responsibility to change your mind. Maybe you're not one to go out there and hold up a signboard, but it is to hold it here and to allow that love light in your right mind to, the vibratory frequency of that love light is so strong that it goes out into the sonship and it begins to knit together like-minded people that are forming communities. We could call them pyramids, rays of light everywhere. Communities holding the frequency of truth. Face the devil. Face it and say, you have no power over me. That stinking thinking thought, no, you have no power over me. I am standing here in my sovereignty and I'm saying to my Father, through prayer, listening and then following, being patient and trusting, where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say? I of myself have no mouth. I of myself have nothing to say. You will do everything through me as a sovereign being. That is my prayer. Then Baba says, the third of the 4 F's is to fight to the end. He didn't say lay down and watch Netflix and call it a day. He said fight to the end. Do not allow these implants, these memory chips that have been programmed into you for lifetimes by reptiles, sleeping minds that just keep the timeline going by teaching you false beliefs, implanting your little mind as a child with all the ways of how to be a good ego. This is a temporary pit stop. And Baba says you got to fight to the end. Do not delay. Look at those fear-based thoughts that enter your mind and say, no. Only love is real. See yourself in that light, protected and surrounded. Follow the master. Follow the conscience, which is your master. Then Baba says, and then you should finish the game. Not die. Not die. There is no death. You finish the attachments. You're done living from fear. You are now walking on that timeline, you know, that little alien that's on that matrix, that blip now. You walk that timeline while you're here like an angel. You're done with the game, which means now you can enjoy the game because you know it's not real. Right now, you think it's real. And now it's because of the memory in your unconscious. All those implants that are in the programming and all the images that you see in your world, you've made them all real. And it's costing you joy. So Baba says, finish the game. You should finish the game. Be done with it. Learn to walk as light, as a sovereign being, knowing that this world is not real. And once you know it's not real, you can be used by Spirit in powerful ways. Yeah. So then he says, if you remember these 4 injunctions and keep remembering them so that they are resounding, every moment in you, there can be nothing more sacred than this in your life. So thank you, Baba. Om Sai Ram. And Jamie's going to put those up there for us to remember. So in today's session, we are doing a review. And again, you know, Jesus always reminds us that don't minimize these reviews. In fact, he adds, you know, a lot of new thoughts that he didn't mention in the lesson first time around. So they deepen. It just, everything deepens. We're not going wide. We're going deep. We got to get down into that unconscious mind and root out, get those memory chips out of our unconscious so that we're not reactive. We're not emotional basket cases. We are pillars of light, walking as truth. So we're in the review, we're going to look at Love Created Me Like Itself, lesson 67, and 68. Love holds no grievances. And then I'm going to bring up some excerpts from chapter 11, God or the Ego. Now, there is a line in the Course, and I think it's really pertinent here to bring it up, where Jesus says the ego is a death wish. The ego is, there they are, the ego is a death wish. Every thought you think without love, all the fear, it's just one big death wish, and we set it up and then we die. We don't wake up while we're still in the body. The ego is a death wish, and if you look around today, we could say that this is a spiritual war, God or ego. But the ego, if you're listening to the ego, then you have identified as a body and you have a death wish. It's to get out of here and go somewhere better, which will never happen, because wherever you are, there you are. Wherever you go, there you are, whether you're on the other side of the veil or, you know. So this is what we're being told to pay attention to today, is to really say to yourself, okay, I need to pray. I need to make prayer constant, conscious contact. And I need to listen closely to what my conscience is saying. And I need to follow its direction, which means I need to trust and to have patience. So I need to still my thoughts. Yeah. Jesus reminds us that nothing real can be threatened. That's told to us in the beginning, and nothing unreal exists. And so, when we go into that quiet place to sit down and say that I think that's powerful, to sit down, close your eyes, and remind yourself that nothing real can be threatened and that nothing unreal exists. The world is just it's a matrix. It is a projection of all the memory implants, all the false ideas being shown to you. And it's really insane now. It's really insane. So, then, I always get my stuff together for this week, and I reread the lessons and what I'm about to talk about. But then I get these other thoughts coming in from the Master. And again, it was to get the book Wetiko, Healing Wetiko by Paul Levy. And I just want to read to you a few things. I wrote these down because they're really, they're profound. Here's what, just take this in. Really see if you can feel what I'm saying. It's Paul Levy's words, but they're really powerful. So he says, people who are channeling the vibratory frequency of Wetiko, which basically is wild ego darkness, they align with each other through psychic resonance to reinforce their unspoken shared agreement. In other words, we all agree to be separate from God. So they all agree to be separate from God so as to uphold their deranged view of society. Well, just take that in. People who are channeling the vibratory frequency of Wetiko, fear, align with each other through psychic resonance. It's a vibratory resonance that goes out to reinforce their unspoken shared agreement so as to uphold their deranged view of reality. And we're seeing this, the division. And the same would apply to those that are choosing love and peace and joy and sovereignty and pro-choice and everything else. They also send out a vibratory frequency, a resonance that finds other like-minded people that bind together. They knit together and form groups and communities. So that's what's going on. He says, once unconscious content takes possession. Unconscious content, guys, you know what that is, right? It's that root chakra. It is, in the unconscious are all the implants of the program that make up your matrix, your personal world. And then together you can see collectively, you can see the collective world, which is just, a whole bunch of yous with the same thought system, and you're all agreeing. So once the unconscious content, so you're not aware of it, you haven't raised darkness to light, it remains unconscious, and that's dangerous. And that's alien thinking. It takes possession of certain individuals. It irresistibly draws them together by mutual attraction and knits them into groups, tied together by their shared madness that can easily swell into an avalanche of insanity. Well, there, look at that. Look at the world. As they say, it won't be long if we don't wake up and stand in our sovereignty. We'll all be wearing a yellow star. This is a psychic epidemic. It's a closed system. which is to say that it is insular and not open to any new information. Bam. Light is all-inclusive. Light and love is acknowledgement and openness, open-minded, open heart. Okay, it's not making anything wrong because it knows if that person is coming at them with an untruth, they know it's not real. Light knows darkness is not real. But the psychic epidemic, which is happening now, is a closed system, which is to say that it's insular and it's not open to any new information or informing influences from the outside world, which contradict its fixed, limited, and limiting perspective. The next, when you talk to someone who is not open to your opinion or to an idea, that's Wetiko at its finest. So now you tell me. It's insane. It is a psychic epidemic, and that's what Wetiko does. It's like the unconscious content of the mind, that which you have not raised into the light and forgiven, given up to the spirit, because you're so identified with the body, so identified with the story, with the timeline, and every little implant that has come down from lifetimes of separation are still there in you. And we are seeing the madness of a collective projection of these implants in the unconscious. And they are called puppet masters, because when you're not conscious of the darkness, you are controllable. And it's just so sneaky, the ego, the puppet master of Wetiko, because it twists laws of God. It twists everything, and you become so confused. That's its job, is to confuse you so that you don't know right from wrong, because you're not following your conscience. You don't know good from bad. Look at the world. You don't know up from down. I mean, it's insane. I think even with our gender things going on, I don't know, I read something the other day that there's now, how many new gender, like 87, some, like, and people are like, okay, there is such mass confusion because of Wetiko, this psychic epidemic. That is a closed system, and it's designed to do that so that nobody wakes up and the world stays in darkness. Oh my God. So then he says, anyone challenging this shared reality is seen as a threat and demonized. Now, isn't that happening? It's like, well, wait a minute, something doesn't feel right. Well, you're demonized. You're seen as a threat. We got to shut you up. We got to shut you up. It's an impenetrable field, like a protective bubble. And it's collectively conjured up around their shared psychosis that literally resists consciousness and perpetuates the spell-like trance of those in its thrall. Ooh, he has such a great way with words. He says there's no talking rationally. How about that? Maybe you're in a household and there is this division in your home and there's no talking rationally. That's Wetiko at its finest. So there's no talking rationally, using logic or facts with someone under the spell of the psychic epidemic. You can't talk rationally. You can't present things because they're under a spell. They're in a trance. Their ability to reason and to use discernment. Remember that word? Sai Baba also told us discernment, the 5 Ds. So the ability to reason and to use discernment, that it has been disabled and distorted in service to the psychic pathogen. That's the pathogen, guys, which they carry. That is the pathogen. When a group of people are in agreement about anything, whether it is true or not, their alignment with each other exerts a contagious magnetic field of force, which can sway the unaware and attract them to itself. Be careful of what you think. Ideas leave not their source. Every thought has power behind it. Every thought. We are on guard, even paranoid, regarding contagious diseases of the body. Well, yeah, that's true. Look around. But we are woefully asleep and unconcerned about, and hence more susceptible to catch the more dangerous collective diseases of the mind, which are reaching tandem proportions in our world today. And we're seeing the manifestation of that called, right? People taken over by Wetiko, by the Wetiko virus, usually don't suspect a thing about how they have been conned, or more accurately, how they have conned themselves. Now, you talk to people who have gone against their conscience, you know what I'm saying? They have conned themselves into believing that it's okay. And now they have this deep-rooted anger, which they will then project on you. Because Wetiko does that. It's clever. It's sinister. It's insatiable. It wants members. And the puppet masters that live underground, which are your own implant thoughts of darkness and fear and guilt and lifetimes of whatever shenanigans that you believe, we're seeing them as images, people, systems in this matrix. So we con ourselves into believing it's okay because, you know what? I want to go shopping in Dubai. It's okay. I want to go here. It's okay. Oh, no, well, I just want to get on Turkish Airlines and go wherever you want to go. It's okay. So I'll just con myself into believing that I'm going to be convenient. I'm going to be made comfortable. And listen, when you give up your freedom, Wetiko doesn't give it back. Just know that. When you give up your sovereignty, Wetiko's, oh yeah, it's got you in its clever clutches. Do you think it's going to give it back to you? No, you're going to have to fight. The Wetiko culture offers no incentive for these people to self-reflect. Nothing to reflect. Just turn on Netflix. Give me a beer. Oh, I can win a lottery for that? Good. Awesome. I need the money. All of this deepens their psychosis. When someone is a full-blown, unrecognized Wetiko, in other words, they have no clue, they're sleeping, the field around them torques so as to protect, collude, and feed into their psychosis in a way that entrances those around them. Similar to how an octopus squirts black ink in order to hide a psychic field, gets conjured up around full-blown Wetiko, which is so evil. Once you're under the Wetiko spell, you will lose your capacity to recognize the Wetiko pathology in other people. Because you're a private mind now, right? I'm a private mind and this is my world and I get to do what I want. Not recognizing that other person that's a Wetiko psychotic person is also believing they're a private mind with a private body. But you will think they don't have the right to be anything. It's a pathology. In a situation of group narcissism, Wetiko at different stages of the disease assume particular posture roles relative to each other that protect and shield themselves. You see, attack and defense. It's a closed system, guys. And I think that was said in The Matrix, the movie. Watch The Matrix again. Do you remember that one scene? I have that so vivid in my mind, where Neo was standing with Morpheus and there was this sexy lady walking down the street in her red dress. And they were looking at her and Morpheus said, "It's a matrix, Neo. It's not real." Wow. So they shield themselves. When you're possessed by Wetiko, you don't want to hear what anybody else has to say. You're in your own matrix of insanity. And you feed and reinforce others' narcissism because it enhances yours. So other people that are in your group that are also doing the same thing, you lift them up too, and everybody gets to be in a psychotic cesspool of fear and all of that. And here's the joke, none of it's real, but they believe it is. Do you believe it's real? People or groups who have fallen asleep are under the thrall of the psychic epidemic and are then unconsciously dreaming. So we have different kinds of dreams. We have the conscious dream, that I'm aware that I'm dreaming and I know it's a dream. I'm awake in the dream. Or I have a nighttime dream, and even in my nighttime dreams, it could be a lucid dream where I'm aware that I'm dreaming. And then we have unconscious dreams. You have no clue. That's Wetiko at its finest. That is your implants, your memory implants from lifetimes of being addicted to the body, all coming up and projecting out and joining with other people who agree with you. And everyone's asleep. So he says, psychic epidemic are then unconsciously dreaming, and they're acting out. They're unconscious in fully embodied form. So what we're seeing in the world is a projection of the implants in the unconscious mind of every single person. We're seeing it collectively as images on our screen, the collective screen and our individual screen, and we call it real. So we're seeing the unconscious in fully embodied form in contrast to being awake. Well, the type of person ripe for falling prey to this Wetiko infection is usually one whose strings are pulled and manipulated by others. Do you let other people tell you? Are you being lived through by a puppet master telling you? Are you staying in relationships because there's a puppet master in your unconscious that says for better, for worse, forever, no matter what? Who's your puppet master? If your strings can be pulled and manipulated by others, then you have fallen prey to Wetiko. And then you will follow a life path dictated by others and unaccustomed. It's because you're unaccustomed to think for yourself. Oh, he'll take care of me. They will take care of me. Oh, when I retire, I'll have a paycheck. I'll get money from the big G, not God, not like G with a... No, it'll be coming from, you believe that someone out there is going to take care of you. Well, what if there's no money left? Now what? Now what are you going to do? Kill yourself? This is like where the rubber meets the road now. This is like crunch time. You become prey to Wetiko when you're not in touch with your inner guidance. Because you've given all your power away and let everybody tell you where to go, what to do, and what to say. And how to act and how to dress. Not sovereign. You're not in touch with your inner guidance. So what do? You project your authority outside of yourself. Oh my God. And then you become very suggestible to the agreed upon consensus opinion of the dominant pack. So that's why, we travel in packs. Our vibe attracts our tribe. So what do? If you're with Wetiko, then everybody in your pack has a gun, ready to shoot those that are not in your pack. If you're standing in the light, you might be in groups of light. You're not interested in shooting anybody because you know none of that exists. And then you can be used by God to serve. And maybe you have to go to a protest. I don't know. Maybe you have to, put something on Facebook. Maybe you have to tell somebody no. And you're not used to saying no because you have had a puppet master. This is big. When we give our power away, there's always someone bearing the authority of the state who is more than happy to accept our offering. And they're not going to give it back willingly. No. Have you ever, I talk to a lot of people in one-on-ones, and they'll say, they'll be in maybe not a good marriage. And the woman will say to me, and I got married and my man was my everything. So what did she do? She made him her authority. She gave him this and here, have my power and do this. In other words, she didn't think for herself. She didn't have any opinions. It was like, oh, good, I can just sit back here. I can just lay back and my husband's going to take care of me. Well, it's the same thing. He willingly took it. Yay. Well, yeah, it's rightfully mine. It was really difficult when you woke up, wasn't it, wife? Or even husband, we could reverse it. And suddenly wanted your power back. Do you think that spouse was willingly wanting to give you your power back? No. Willingly wanting to give you your freedom? No. And that's across the board. So when you give your power to anybody, any system, you're controllable, you're owned. But it was just really convenient, wasn't it? Not to think for yourself. Well, that was really convenient. Not to rock the boat. How about that one? No, let's just all stay quiet. I don't, because of being passive. Do you think that the Holy Spirit is passive? Look at Segment. Are you kidding? Don't you dare come near my cub. Don't you dare, in the name of truth, stand back. One focus. Truth is true and only truth is true. Oh man, so Wetiko, once it gets in, wow. So this state, whatever that state is to you, if you're controllable, is happy to accept your offering, feeding the insatiable will to power of the shadow, the unconscious, which becomes collectively mobilized. Masses are veritable breeding grounds for psychic epidemics. That is the epidemic that's happening on our planet. It is an epidemic of the mind. It is a pandemic. It is a virus that is so threatening. It's so threatening because we've made it so real. And because we're afraid to stand up for our rights, for our sovereignty, because we want to get on that plane and we want to travel and we want to, go to the mall, and we want to go shopping and we want to this and we don't want to be inconvenient. We're willing to bend and give our power and save our body which doesn't exist anyway, rather than our soul as sovereign beings that offers you everything? I mean, come on. Can you feel my passion today? I feel so strong with this passion in my heart, soul, mind, body to share this with you. I can't shut up. It's like, oh, I can't shut up. So he says, through using individuals as its instruments, evil needs the unconscious. And Jesus says in the Course in Miracles, you have yet to raise the unconscious darkness into the light because you're protecting it, because you're afraid of what somebody will think of you. You're afraid that if someone found out you had 3 abortions, they would think, ew, you're just a no-good loser. Or if you had, 2 affairs, that you were like all these things, the shame and everything that we carry. And so you hide all that and you push it down, and it's energy. It's just energy that's gone underground. And now you're a puppet, and you're puppet masters. You're controllable because you haven't faced your shame or your darkness or whatever it is which doesn't exist anyway, but you haven't raised it to the light and forgiven it by giving it to the spirit, the higher power in you. And so as long as we don't do that, this is the result. This is what we're seeing. It's all, and Baba says, yes, there will be peace on earth, but purification is necessary first. Purification of the unconscious mind. The implants, the memory implants, they have to be purified. They have to be raised to the level of light. And what we're doing is not raising them, we're projecting them. Ew, I don't want to look at my darkness. Okay, you do that. Now we have Hitler, Stalin, Pol Pot, bad governments, this, that, people that are just, that's the result of not looking at your darkness, pushing it down, keeping those implants there. And only the Christ in you, or the Buddha, whatever you call your I am presence that's in you, has the power and the grace and the love and the everything to help you overcome and become what God made you to be: sovereign, strong, being the living will of God as love, for love in this world. So these individuals that are possessed, through using individuals as its instruments, evil needs the unconscious masses. Evil needs you to go to sleep because the ego is a death wish. It wants you to fall asleep. That's what death is, being asleep to your superconscious mind. And it uses this, let me read that again. Through using individuals as its instruments, evil needs the unconscious masses for its genesis and proliferation on the world stage. It needs to feed on your unconscious that you're not aware of, that you're not looking at. And either you're willingly not looking at it, you're aware that it's there, but it's like, nah, well, who cares, whatever. Or you just aren't even aware that it's there because you're still in the realm of blaming someone for your upset. When you're triggered, you're still blaming, you see. So then he says, in a collective psychosis, people literally stop thinking for themselves and let other people think for them. Just let everybody think for you. Like sheep, he says, who just follow wherever they are being led, even if it's off the nearest cliff. Look at the state of our world. We are on the edge of the cliff, having given all our power. Losing touch with their own discernment ability for critical thinking. The mass man becomes part of the mindless herd and falls prey to groupthink. Well, they're doing it. See, that's what they said. See, the CDC said, and the WHO, they said, without even looking at anything else. No, I have a closed thought system. I don't look at anything else because I'm psychotic. Psychotic people don't look at anything. They're living in their own delusion. Wake up. We have to wake up. So the groupthink whose members codependently, well, what do you think? Well, I think it's good. Oh, okay, then I think it's good too. Well, what do you want? Well, I want it to be true so I can travel. Okay, me too. Let's go. And then you both go and the pilot crashes the plane. I mean, that's where it's heading. So we fall prey to this groupthink whose members codependently enable each other to uphold their shared version of the Wetiko world. He says, perception management, largely through the corporate mainstream media, convinces a critical mass of people of a particular viewpoint. Oh yes, the news, north, east, west, and south. We get the same thing. And we don't look into anything else. And the perception management is so awesome. Wetiko uses that mainstream media to convince the critical mass of people of a particular viewpoint, and there is a consensus or agreement that is reached among the masses as to what is objectively true. Well, guess what? Objective and subjective are the same. What you think is what you see, because ideas leave not their source. Jesus is telling us the external world is the same as your internal world. So what you're seeing is a reflection of your implants in the unconscious mind. Oh my goodness. Like a religious truth, it is irrationally believed, like an act of faith, by its card-carrying members. And we're all going to be having a card, or a number, or a tattoo, or maybe a gold star. By its card-carrying members, even if overwhelming evidence points to the contrary. But that's okay. We are psychotic because we are listening to the puppet masters that live in the basement, your own unconscious programming. You've given your power away to your husband, to your wife, to your kids, to whatever. You're not sovereign of God. You don't even care about God. You don't care about anything else except your money in the bank, your big car in the driveway, your corporation, your this, your that. Because you want comfort, you want convenience. Don't rock my world. And you're willing to give up peace on earth for a car or someone telling you how to think. Anyone who doesn't buy into the arbitrarily established story, the narrative, is marginalized and demonized. And they call you either crazy, a conspiracy theorist, or even a terrorist. In other words, you're either with us, the Wetiko group, or you're with the enemy. This was so profound. I've read that book, I went back through it, and I saw this, and I said, oh, this just says it like it is. It just says it like it is. And Jesus says, it's God or the ego. When you choose God, you have turned your back on Wetiko completely. But that means you may not be comfortable. It may not be convenient. You may not be able to go to Dubai shopping. Or wherever it is you think you're going to go. You're going nowhere, because once Wetiko has your power, it has your power. And it doesn't give it back. It just tightens the grip. New rules, new regulations, new fines, jail time. Oh yeah. So God or the ego. Once you choose Wetiko/ego, you're an alien. But your higher self, which is the Christ in you, is alien in this world because it knows this world doesn't exist. Nothing in it is real. And once you stand in that power, that's where the miracles are. And the Spirit in you will start speaking. It will tell you. It's not like you're not going to do anything. In fact, so many people are moving. People are starting communities in the world that are not part of Wetiko's world at all. They don't care about being inconvenienced. They don't care about being uncomfortable. They want sovereignty. They are creating a new world. That is what we're doing. Every person who stands in their sovereignty and chooses pro-life, pro-choice. You might have to dig a well for water. You might not be given electricity, but hey, we have solar paneling because God gave us the sun. You might become the next Nikola Tesla, and you can take energy between the molecules in the air because now your genius mind opens up because you're not in a trance under the evil grips of Wetiko, and the balance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine come flooding into you. And you come up with these ingenious ideas off grid. Maybe it's off grid. I'm in. Maybe I'll buy some land and start a community of like-minded people who don't mind being inconvenienced because they're serving this sonship to help everyone wake up to truth. This is what's needed. And I'm in. I serve the sonship. It's beyond self-interest. It's beyond being comfortable and inconvenienced. Pray, listen, follow. Jesus says, you are what God made, and nothing has power over you. But if you give your power away, then you're in a dream world that is so rotten to the core, and nothing in it offers you anything but suffering and pain. Even the joy you chase, you get it and then it's gone. It's like a cloud. You can't hold anything in the dream world. Wouldn't you rather be the happy dreamer in the dream, living off grid maybe, in a community of like-minded people anchoring the light of sovereignty? I would. I'd walk away in a heartbeat. This is what is coming up. And I talk to a lot of people now who are moving to Mexico, to Costa Rica, to Nicaragua. They don't want to be part of the matrix. They're getting off the grid. And they're reconnecting, like in the days of Atlantis, where, let's just pretend there was balance, there was peace on earth, because there was the right hemisphere and the left hemispheres of the brain. And people were coming up with ingenious ideas. We hear about the energy healers from the Atlantean times and all of that. Dispelling Wetiko, there it is, So Jesus says in this excerpt coming from The Condition of Reality, he says, the world as you perceive it, so the world you see with the body's eyes, it cannot have been created by the Father. For the world is not as you see it. God created only the eternal. This world is perishable. Your body's perishable. God didn't create it. It's an overcoat. It's a spacesuit. And everything you see in this world is perishable. Therefore, there must be another world that you don't see. Where is it? The Bible speaks of a new heaven and a new earth. Yet this cannot be literally true, for the eternal are not recreated. You can't make a new earth. It's right here, right now, in the holy instant, in your right mind in God. And when you turn into that, you are in the new world. To perceive anew is merely to perceive again. Look again, but not outside. Look inward to where the light is. And then when you open your eyes and look outward, you'll see the new world. Implying that before or in the interval between, you were not perceiving at all. You are not perceiving at all because you're not the body. You are the divine love light of God. And only love is real, and nothing unreal exists. What then is the world that awaits your perception when you see it? The ego cannot be understood here because it is the ego trying to understand itself. It could care less. When you're in the ego and you're trying to figure things out, you're just making more ego. It's like pulling, there's a story about Lord Honeymoon, how he could make new worlds by pulling his fur out and throwing his hair in the air, and new worlds would appear. It's like that. That's what when you try to do anything, when you try to understand the ego, that's what you're doing. You're pulling things out of your head to try to understand why you said that, why they did that, why they're doing that. Because it is the ego trying to understand itself? No, but how can separation understand the illusion of separation? You never left God. I was saying this the other day to Yvette. Hey, Yvette. Imagine yourself in that bubble of love light. You're in this eternal moment to moment to moment. You're in eternity with God, but you're not aware of it. You don't have conscious awareness of it. So what do? You pick up those virtual glasses. Those things you wear where you put it on, it's like, whoa, you see a whole movie in there. So here we are, we're in God. We're in this perfect oneness, but we don't have conscious awareness of it. So then you had to learn by contrast. So what do? You picked up the virtual glasses, and it's like, oh my God, you're seeing your family members, and you're seeing all the people you don't like, and you're seeing the pandemic, and you're all having a fit, and you're reacting to this virtual reality, and you're going crazy, and da-da-da. And Jesus comes along and he says, put those glasses down. You put them down, and he said, where are you? In eternity. You never left. You just picked up the glasses, the filter, the ego's filter. And that's all our lifetimes, or the different chapters in our life story, different virtual realities. What's your virtual reality right now? Put it down. Where are you? In perfect oneness with the Father, in the glory and the light. And all the flowers on the tree are emanating luminous light. And the sound of the bees. Love my bee book, Susan. The sound of the bees. Oh, it sounds like music to your ears. And the sound of the birds. And you look at the clouds, and they're so lovely. They're like big fluffy cotton balls. And everything is just pouring light. Why is that? Because you're in the eternal moment of now, in the light in your own mind. And now that's all you see. And then you forget again, and you pick up these virtual reality. And now you're in a scary dream again. And you stay there holding this. It's like you yourself are holding this over your eyes. Oh, and then the master comes and says, put those glasses down. Put that virtual thing down that you're holding, that kaleidoscope of threat and guilt and fear and shame. Put it down. Where are you? No, you're still where you always were. Oh, okay. I know. So then he says, how can sleep fathom the state of being awake? When you're sleeping, you're sleeping. When you're in the ego, you're in the ego. You believe you are. You're not anywhere, but you believe you are. So the ego doesn't dissect itself. And when you're sleeping, you don't know you're asleep. However, as our eyes open, the nature of the dream is apparent. And we understand how God's creation can only be like him. And anything unlike him cannot exist. The dream figures in your matrix came from the memory implants in the unconscious. that keep getting projected out. The real world is the state preceding this awakening. When we perceive miscreation for the illusion it is, the condition for knowing reality and God's true creation, the perception of goodness then is not knowledge, but the denial of the opposite of goodness enables you to recognize a condition in which opposites do not exist. In other words, you're in the light of God, you're one with everything, and there's no duality. And so when you wake up, when we all wake up together, because that's what happens, nobody goes to heaven alone. We all go to heaven or no one goes to heaven because they're all you. So when you wake up, the whole sonship goes with you. And when you stay asleep, the whole sonship stays asleep with you because they're all you. Jesus says we identified with the ego's thought system of miscreation. That's what happened. Making illusions instead of creating reality. So we made up the dream from these memory implants and threw them out. And we're not creating reality by extending love. And now we think we are the son the ego made, which leads to total confusion about our identity. And you know, once you get really clear about who you are, once you get clear that you are the will of God, once you wake up and know, I am sovereign of my Creator, there's no more confusion about anything. Because you're standing in the light, as light, for the light, standing as truth, for the truth, in truth. You are unstoppable, you are invulnerable, you are the embodiment of complete innocence, and you're in the world and not of the world. The real world is all that the Holy Spirit has saved for you out of what you have made. So out of all this nonsense that we make from the ego's projections, the Holy Spirit has saved the real world for you. It's always there in your right mind. And to perceive only this as salvation. So the only thing that's going to save us, not this, nothing. The Spirit in your right mind in God is your salvation. Because you give all of the fear, all of the memory implants, all of the Wetiko's evil ways to the Spirit and have them all dispelled by her grace, by the light. And now you are awake in the dream. So in lesson 84, where's my lesson here? Hold on. Lesson 84, Jesus says, remember, love created me like itself. And that's, you know, how about you just sit with that today and try to feel what Jesus is saying here. Love created me like itself. I am in the likeness of my Creator. And so I looked that up in the Bible. And in Genesis, the first book of the Bible, this is what God supposedly said. And then God said, let us make mankind in our image and in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. In other words, God gave you dominion. In other words, I deny your power over me. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. And that is the power of receiving and giving that exists within you. And then that looks like male, female. It's just so beautiful. The next line in this lesson says, I cannot suffer. I cannot experience loss. And I cannot die. Jesus means it literally. I am not a body. I would recognize my reality today. I will worship no idols, no people. I will give no power to anyone. I will be sovereign of myself with a capital S. Nor will I raise my own self-concept to replace my Christ self. Your body, what you believe you are, what you think you are, is a self-concept. It is not true. And Jesus is saying today we do not raise our own self-concept to replace your higher self. No way. No. And Jesus is so wonderful because he realizes as we listen, if you listen to the deeper teachings, he recognizes and he's telling us in so many ways that he understands that this is difficult for us. That we're kind of like a work in progress, even though none of it has ever happened. We've never left the mind of God. He understands it, definitely. And I think too, because I took something here from the text, chapter 3, where Jesus says, peace is a natural heritage of spirit. So when you're in alignment with your spirit, you're at peace. Everyone is free to refuse to accept his inheritance, but he is not free to establish what his inheritance is. You are what God willed. You are what God said. And that's the only thing that's true. And because we have not yet forgiven the world, Jesus understands. I mean, it took Jesus all the way to the cross where he completely forgave the entire world, right? So we have not forgiven the world, not yet. We're not at the point in many cases where we could understand forgiveness, because we still think we could be unfairly treated, that the world is doing something to us, when in fact the world is coming out of us. And we get it kind of like intellectually, but not felt, not knowing. It's not knowledge. Because if it was, you would be non-reactive and not triggered by anything. So we don't understand it yet. Then he says, I am in the likeness of my Creator. Love created me like itself. So today he's saying, let me not see an illusion of myself in this. As I look on this, let me remember my Creator. My Creator did not create this as I see it. So today, as you look out, remind yourself, my Creator did not create this as I see it. And the this is when you feel vulnerable. When you feel vulnerable, you are seeing the world through guilt. And now you feel vulnerable to attack. That's what that this is. Then he said, love holds, or the next lesson is, love holds no grievances. Grievances are completely alien to love. Grievances attack love. That's your memory implants. But if you have a grievance against someone, what you're angry at is what you did in that lifetime. And now you needed your brother to do the same thing you did so you could see it, feel it, experience it, and forgive it. And that's the meaning of forgiveness, right? So those grievances, or anytime you're triggered by a brother, you have found a memory implant where you felt that you had to defend yourself in some lifetime, or you attacked in some lifetime, or in this lifetime too, and that brother shows up to animate that memory implant / grievance so that you can be on the receiving end of what you gave in order to say, oh, it all came from me first, and I still haven't forgiven it. That's why Jesus is patient, and he says, you don't understand the depth. You don't understand true forgiveness yet. He says, if I hold grievances, I am attacking love. In other words, and the grievances that we hold, is an attack on love, on God. We're so afraid of returning to the light, returning to God, that we hold on to grievances so we can prove that Wetiko is real. See, I was hurt. See, God, in that lifetime, I was killed. I had a past life memory. And in that past life memory, I was stabbed to death. It's all you. Everything came from you. All those seeming past lives that we've lived and all that. It's just on the timeline of the alien mind, if you will, that put itself on a timeline when it forgot to think with love. Then he says, myself thus becomes alien to me. And now you're the alien in the matrix, but your real self, your higher self, the beautiful self, the real you, is alien to you. It's like, what? I'm it. There's nothing else but me, the small self, the alien self. Oh man, we feel like if we return to this higher self that we would lose our individuality. That's why. It's like, well, who would I be then if I returned and became the Christ light? I wouldn't have my individual self. So all these grievances is a way or a means to stop you or prevent you from becoming the Christ, because you fear that in that Christ light you would lose your individuality. So that's why you want to hold on to grievances. It's like, think about that. I am determined not to attack myself today, my higher self, so that I can remember who I am. That's so beautiful. Then Jesus says, this is no justification for denying myself. I will not use this to attack love. Whatever you're triggered by today, okay, that's what you're going to say. This is no justification for denying my higher self. So if you look out and, whatever you're angry at, triggered by, I'm not going to justify any of this by and deny myself. No way. This is absolutely no justification for that. I will not use this to attack love. Let this not tempt me to attack myself. And Jesus is always trying to pull us back to the part of our mind that can choose. That's what happens when we fall asleep. We become, I'm a victim, I'm unfairly treated, they did, oh my God, I have no power. But Jesus, throughout the entire Course in Miracles, he's always trying to get us back into that part of our mind that is deciding between love or fear. That you have a choice. You always have a choice. And that's the end of the lesson. They're short lessons, but they're very direct. Yeah. So what do you think? Powerful, right? Powerful session. I just feel so strongly about what's happening on the planet. I have such a deep compassion in my heart for the sonship. I really do. That everybody wake up. And if we just keep going along out of comfort and convenience and everything else, you can't tell yourself there's something wrong with what we're seeing. Just please look at it. There's something wrong. It's not right. Something's not right. And if you have been serving Wetiko and you're listening to me, it's my prayer that you will stop, open your mind, and start looking at the other side of it. Start looking at things differently. And be willing, be willing to not be one of the people that goes along to get along, because it's don't give your power away. Stand in your sovereignty. Seriously. Yeah, I love you, Doreen. It drives it home. Yeah. And listen, guys, I have to tell you that, I'm being alerted by the Christ in me to pay attention and to be patient and wait for direction. So I don't know where I'm going, what it's about. I really don't, but I'm just putting it out there. I have said to Spirit, I will serve the sonship. Where would you have me be? And I'm willing to live off grid, and I'm willing to start a community of like-minded people and to build. I love you, Koji. Thank you. Thank you, Kogi, for tuning in. I love you, love you, love you. Yeah, yeah, yes, Michael, compassion. Yeah. So, that's what's coming to me. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that means. I am open, I'm patient, I'm listening, but I'm getting my ducks in a row. So, let's see. Let's see. And maybe it's just about being the mouthpiece in this way. I don't know, but I'm on a high alert with the Holy Spirit in my pocket. And that's why today I thought, oh, that dress is cute. I'll wear that. It's got a lot of Holy Spirits around it. So there we go. But anyway, well, we have a full moon coming up in the next few days. So yeah, that's it, right, Michael? Service, service, service. Love all, serve all. It's a beyond self-interest. It's for the entire sonship. If I listen, if I bail from society, so to speak, and I get off grid, and I build a community of like-minded people, you can be sure there will be a shrine there for the segment. There will be a shrine there for, prayers, but it will be with like-minded people who want to join together for one purpose, and that is service to the sonship, anchoring the light of sovereignty, not you're better than me or I'm better than you. No, all of that. So it's just interesting. That's been coming to me, and I'll just leave it at that. We'll see. But yeah, that's where my heart is. So I love you guys so much, and I'll be here for the oh, hi Chin. I love you guys so much, and Jenny and Jasmine. Thank you. I will be here for the full moon. It's a second full moon this month. That's kind of interesting. So I'll be here in a few days. We'll announce that. But in the meantime, lots of love to you. Million hugs and kisses. And stand in your sovereignty. Don't serve Wetiko. No way. Love you, Sue. I'll talk to you this week. Yeah, and Susan, don't forget about your email. Maybe just get Gmail. I don't know. Just get Gmail because your things are bouncing back. So, yeah. Your things are bouncing back. That's cute. Hi, Charles. Everybody here. Yes, 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 yes. That's we're in it together. We're in it together. Yeah. So much love. So much love. Oh, Evelyn. Yeah. Oh, I love seeing everybody here. Yeah, it's beautiful. So, okay, guys. We'll see you soon. And thank you, Doreen. And God bless you. Bye for now. Bye.